Does the Catholic faith rely on the Bible alone? It is the thought of Protestants from the 16th century. It is the reform of Martin Luther, which affirms that only the scriptura, only the writing counts. And anything that is not biblical must be expelled from Christianity. And this is not at all the thinking of the Church founded by the Apostles, namely the Catholic Church and the Orthodox Church, which at the beginning, moreover, formed a single large church, so east, on the side from Africa, and to the west, from Rome. And that's how we can prove it. It comes first of all from Jesus himself, who says, I am going to leave soon, and in John chapter 14 verse 26, but I will send you the paraclete, the Holy Spirit, and he will teach you everything, and will remind you all that I told you. It means that it is voluntarily that Jesus wrote nothing, then he died, he is resurrected, and for years, the apostles meditated in their hearts, with that Holy Spirit that had come down on the day of the Pentecost. Everything that Jesus had told them, they told him to people who had not witnessed the events. And a little later worn by what is called this tradition. It means the Holy Spirit in the hearts of the saints. And the two together as in an act of reciprocal love, which deeply understand things at a given moment. So perhaps 15 years after the resurrection of Jesus, some began to put things in writing. What does that mean? That the source of life of all this revelation is Jesus and his Spirit, the Holy Spirit, and that the channels by which this source reaches us are, first, the tradition of the apostles. It means that Holy Spirit that lives in the hearts of the apostles, in their intelligence. About this first place of the holy tradition, which is oral, St. Paul confirms it. In St. Paul chapter 2 verse 15, Brothers, hold on. Keep firmly the traditions you learned from us orally or in writing. So this tradition of the heart produces at a given moment the writing. And writing his problem its real is cut off from the source he produced to no human writers that written with their own words related to the Holy Spirit. How to join? And because the tradition continues once the apostles and evangelists have died. There were other saints in the Church and God's people, carried by the Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit constantly recalled what writing meant, and what was contained in oral tradition but not in writing. Protestants, therefore, keep only the writing alone. All is not written in it. The Orthodox only keep the writing and the holy tradition. And that is why the Orthodox guard, since all the churches knew from the beginning, even if it is not marked, the Virgin Marie given as mother by Jesus to his Church at the cross, and living communion with the saints of heaven, who help us. The Protestants, because it is not textually marked, do not want it anymore. So here we have two channels and traditions and writing. Is the child a third? Well, I'm going to say that by looking at what's going on in the Orthodox Church, you realize there's a problem. How to distinguish the holy tradition coming from the Holy Spirit in the heart of its saints and its own thoughts, the little human tradition, which could be added here and there. It is impossible, and the Orthodox do not succeed, when they discuss subjects that have not been decided by an Ecumenical Council united to the Pope. Well, they discuss and nobody knows what is the truth, so there are opinions. That is why there is a third channel of revelation, kept only by Catholicism, namely the infallible Magisterium of the Church, which is given to the person of stone, a very sinful person in itself, but protected by a charismas that Jesus announcing, Luke chapter 22 verse 31, Simon, Simon, he addresses the one he is going to rename stone, that Satan has asked you, to sift you like this wheat. But I prayed for you so that your faith will not fail. You, then, when you return from his betrayal. He denied 3 times. Strengthen your brothers in the faith. And Saint-Pierre to answer, Lord, I will follow you to death. Jesus answer him, tonight before the rooster crows and you will have denied me 3 times. And this charisma shows that it is not a question of making stone impeccable. He can sin. On the contrary, to make it perfect in its political decisions. But when he proclaims that such a tradition is really part of the revelation, he has a charisma that comes from the only stone called Jesus Christ that makes it absolutely solid. He cannot go wrong. So it gives three channels, through which the revelation passes: the holy tradition, writing, and the magisterium that confirms. Obviously, when all three are present, we are dealing with a certain certainty, a reference that is called a dogma. We can lean on it. It's a certainty. It's like this. It should be noted that dogma is only about salvation. How to go to heaven. What is heaven? Not on physics chemistry obviously.